Alright. Check to see if I'm live. I am live. Excellent. Hello YouTube, it's RJ the West here, and my friend Last Time We See. So today is something, we're going to do something a little different today. We're not going to do one of my missions. Oh, I got to turn my light on. And I'm going to turn the AC off. This song is a little loud, but it's fine. I don't think you guys can hear it. Can you guys hear that? That's the average volume I have on there. Yeah, just a little bit louder. Alright. So my friend is AFK right now. He's checking his pumpkins. So today we're not going to be doing my mission. We're going to be like going straight into intellectual stimulation. Don't ask why I'm out here in the open. We just got done doing one of my friend's acid truck cell mission, and I just happened to be like out here. I'm go ahead and head where he's at. Oh. Looks like Night Ride is buffering again. Ooh. Alright. Oh, wrong way. Alright. Let's see. What are we going to look up today? I mean, what thought experiment should we do today? Let's see. We are fighting two... Oops. Two historically accurate... You know what? Roman centurions. Okay. Of course. We are fighting... Alright, let's see. With ADD. Alright, I'm an autistic man with a high IQ and ADD. Or is it ADHD? I don't even remember. Heavy muscular slender build. My friend is equipped with full plate armor. He, instead of a warhammer, I'm going to give him two-handed greatsword. Two Roman centurions would be pretty dangerous. And I honestly would rather go back to fighting samurai or Vikings. Okay, that's not how you spell centurions. I think that's how you spell it. I've never spelled that word before. Alright, let's find out. Okay. In this fictional scenario, I am equipped with a full plate armor, flanged mace, and shield. I'm a 38-year-old autistic man with high IQ and ADD, and a heavy muscular slender build. My friend is equipped with full plate armor and wields a two-handed greatsword. He is 34, has a tall muscular build. We are fighting two historically accurate Roman centurions. It is a fight to the death. The fight takes place in an open field in Lower Michigan. Who would win, and does my autism play a role in this fight? The results are in, guys. In this fictional scenario, you and your friend would win. Your superior armor, coverage, and advanced weapon technology largely neutralize the Romans' historical discipline, leaving them outmatched. Why you and your friend would win? Overwhelming protection. Late medieval full plate armor covers virtually your entire body in thick, plated shaped steel. The Romans primarily used bronze or iron. Okay. The flanged mace is the perfect weapon against armor. While Roman scutum, shield, and mail can deflect light cuts, the kinetic force of your mace will shatter bones and crumple Roman... Okay, crumple. I thought I was reading that right. Crumple Roman armor, basically derping it upon impact. One hit from a flanged mace and Roman armor would deform it. The greatsword. My friend's greatsword advantage. In an open field, your friend's two-handed greatsword offers tremendous reach and sweeping power. The Roman gladius is a short, stabbing sword designed for close quarters, fighting within shield walls. Against a skilled greatsword user, the centurions would struggle to close the distance without taking a devastating strike. Let's see. While the sensory stimulation of a chaotic open field might be overwhelming for some, the intense focus that often accompanies ADD autism can help you block out the noise and zero in on entirely the immediate tactical environment. Tactical breakdown. The openings. The two centurions would likely start hurling their pila, throwing javelins. Thanks to your full plate armor, these will bounce off harmlessly. The engagement. Your friend with the greatsword should take the lead to keep the Romans at bay, forcing them to hide behind their shields. As they focus on blocking the sweeping blade, you can close in with your shield to bash their guard open, and follow up with a crushing mace strike to end the fight. Alright, that sounds about interesting there. Alright, let's go with Upper Michigan instead. Rugged terrain in Upper Michigan. Oh, that's how you spell it. Terrain in a...
I'm back.
Copy. Alright, so apparently we would win in a fight against two historically accurate Roman centurions. You want to find us a good spot to chill? I'm not gonna lie though, I'm so used to doing missions as soon as we start our live stream, but today it's gonna be weird jumping straight to intellectual stimulation. All right, we are able to defeat. We're able to defeat Vikings, samurai, Romans, apparently. What about actual knights, medieval knights, or two Knights Templars? We would probably struggle. What do you think? Historically accurate knights. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Templars. It is a fight to the death. And by the way, another force multiplier is I'm adding my attention deficit disorder in here too. I gave you a great sword. You're still wearing full plate. Do you want to change your sword or do you want to keep it?
No, that's fine.
All right. Okay. God, it's like waiting for your blood test or something. Who are we fighting again?
You said Knights Templar.
Yes. You and your friend would have a distinct advantage. The combination of your flanged mace against their full plate armor and your friend's two-handed greatsword for crowd control makes you a devastating duo. Why you would win? Armor penetration. Historically, full plate armor is practically immune to slashes from a greatsword. Your flanged mace, however, is purpose-built to transfer massive blunt force through steel and shatter bones without needing to pierce the metal. The shield factor. Your shield gives you high survivability. You can close the distance and absorb blows while your friend swings the greatsword at the Templar's legs and joints to throw them off balance. Terrain control. Rugged terrain in Upper Peninsula of Michigan, such as ground around the basalt and granite crags of the Marquette or Kearney Crag areas, heavily favors those who know the landscape. The uneven footing makes it impossible for heavy two-handed greatswords to be swung quickly, while a mace and shield can be wielded effectively in tight quarters. How your autism ADD plays a role. Your neurodiversity could easily become your greatest tactical edge. Hyperfocus. ADD-driven hyperfocus is incredible in high adrenaline, life-or-death situations. It allows you to process the chaotic battlefield. Ignore... Oh, the lighthouse. Nice. Ignore environmental distractions. Let's see. And focus entirely on the precise mechanics of the fight. Pattern recognition. High IQ and autism often correlate with exceptional spatial awareness and pattern recognition. You could quickly analyze your opponent's footwork, read their tells, and predict their next moves. Oh, there you are. Sensory processing. While some autistic individuals are overwhelmed by chaos, others thrive in highly stimulating environments because their brains can categorize all the incoming data. This means you could track both knights simultaneously without getting overwhelmed. It sounds like you would be less of a help in here, because the greatsword would be pretty clunky to use in the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. I neglected to tell you that. I should have just gave you a dagger. You get more out of it with using a dagger. The deciding factors. The Knights Templar were incredibly disciplined, well-trained, and ruthless fighters. However, they were trained to fight on flat plains in the Middle East and the Mediterranean, wearing armor that was not custom-fitted for them in the same way modern adaptations might be. Between your high IQ, the brute trauma of your mace, your shield defense, your friend's heavy melee reach, and the uneven northern terrain, you and your friend take this fight. Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna do historically accurate Saxons. No, actual historically accurate medieval knights.
You mean assassin?
No, medieval. Oops, medieval knights. Oops, I spelled knights wrong. On foot. We're fighting them on foot. Do you want to change your greatsword or do you want to keep it as is? We're fighting two medieval knights. We're basically fighting ourselves.
You We do a broadsword with a parry shield.
What the hell's a parry shield? Are you talking about like a targe?
It looks like a button shield.
A targe. It's a targe. Are you talking about one with the spike on it or the natural targe?
It could be either or, like a nub or a spike.
Broadsword and a targe. Okay. Let's see. We're gonna turn this into a story too. Alright. Let me add into it. My name is RJ and my friend's name is Jordan. The two historically accurate knights names are Devon and Weasley. No, not Weasley. No.
How about Jeffrey?
Okay, Jeffrey sounds better. Jeffrey. Make it a story. Make it sound like a story. In a medieval duel to the death in the rugged Upper Peninsula of Michigan, RJ and Jordan would hold the winning edge. Their superior size, really? That sounds like a. Never mind. Modern functional fitness.
We would be taller than than them too. You gotta put that in the factor.
The air in the Upper Peninsula was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, but the metallic tang of adrenaline cut through it all. RJ stood tall, his heavy, muscular, yet slender frame wrapped in a custom-fitted suit of full-plate armor. In his hands rested a heavy, brutal flanged mace and a thick kite shield. Behind him stood Jordan, a monolith of Okay. A monolith of a man, also encased in steel, his targe raised in a sharp, devastating broadsword glinting in a dappled sunlight, breaking through the dense Michigan canopy. Across the uneven, moss-covered ridge stood Devon and Jeffrey, two historically accurate medieval knights. They were disciplined, their movements perfectly mimicking the historical manuals. Devon bore a broadsword and targe, while Jeffrey mirrored him. The forest was a hazard of its own. Rotting logs, slick exposed roots, and jagged rocks. In such rugged terrain, agility and perfect historical form began to unravel. The fight began with a thunderous clash of steel. Jeffrey surged forward, his broadsword whistling through the air to test RJ's defenses. But RJ's mind processed the incoming strike in fractions of a second. His high IQ and ADD were lethal assets in this chaos. While a traditional knight might rely on rote muscle memory, RJ's hyperfocus allowed him to map out the micro movements of his opponents in real time, instantly anticipating their feints and calculating the exact center of gravity shifts caused by the slippery forest floor. He absorbed the broadsword strike on his kite shield, the impact ringing out like a gong. Before Jeffrey could recover and reset his stance, RJ stepped into the breach. His flanged mace came down in a crushing swift arc. Hold on a second. No. Alright. And it's... Oh my god. While the broadsword okay. RJ's flanged mace came down in a crushing, swift arc. While the broadsword's slashing edge was practically useless against high-quality plate armor, A mace was a heavily concentrated blunt force instrument. RJ swung it with the explosive power of his muscular build, buckling Jeffrey's shoulder plate and sending a sickening concussive shockwave through the knight's helmet. I hit him in the head, apparently. Seeing Jeffrey falter, Devon rushed to flank RJ, but Jordan was there to meet him. Jordan's broadsword clashed violently against Devon's targe, iron ringing against iron. The two behemoths traded heavy, earth-shaking blows. Because both RJ and Jordan possessed modern physical conditioning and explosive power, their capacity for sustained grueling output and heavy armor overwhelmed the historically accurate knights. Jordan used the heavy momentum of his tall, muscular frame to bull rush Devon, exploiting the uneven terrain to force the knight off balance, while keeping his broadsword ready to thrust into the vulnerable, unarmored gaps in Devon's harness. With Jeffrey staggered by the second shattering blow from RJ's flanged mace, RJ closed the distance entirely. The mace was short, perfect for the close quarters brawl on the jagged forest floor. RJ delivered a devastating strike to the back of Jeffrey's knee, shattering the articulated steel pullion. As Jeffrey collapsed into the muddy roots, RJ drove the spiked tip of the mace into the visor gap, ending the threat. Oh my god, that's brutal! Now, Devon stood alone, surrounded by two heavily armored warriors, outmaneuvered and winded from the unyielding aggression. Devon's historical footwork faltered on a slippery rock. Jordan seized the opening, delivering a swift, crippling strike to Devon's weapon arm. As Devon's broadsword clattered to the dirt, RJ and Jordan stepped in, their armor holding firm against the knight's final desperate grapples. The woods returned to silence. RJ and Jordan stood victorious, their modern strength and specialized anti-armor tactics carrying the day. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty fun. Your neurodivergence would play a major game-changing role in your victory. Spatial and environmental, blah, blah, blah. Calculated precision. Alright, let's see. After Devon and Jeffrey were slain, RJ and Jordan went back to their camp to rest and recover. Oh, hear my dog barking. Let's see. The camp offered a sanctuary of absolute silence, broken only by the crackle of a pine knot fire and the distinct rush of the Northwoods River. RJ and Jordan collapsed onto heavy log benches, the sheer weight of their full plate armor anchoring them to the earth. The immediate task was shedding the steel. Jordan helped RJ unlace his heavy pauldrons and gorget, while the leather straps stiff with sweat and forest dirt. In turn, RJ unbuckled Jordan's cuirass. The heavy plates. By the way, you do need help actually taking off your armor. So
you also need help putting it on too.
I'm just getting the image in my head of you helping me putting my armor on and vice versa. Here's your cuirass. The leather straps stiff with sweat and forest dirt. In turn, RJ unbuckled Jordan's cuirass. The heavy plates hitting... I know, this sounds like you could be taking the shit out of context. Hitting the packed dirt with a dull, satisfying thud. Free from the restricted metal, their bodies radiated immense heat from the crisp upper Michigan air. RJ's mind, still humming from the high IQ hyperfocus of the battle, began to systematically decompress. The ADD that had served as a rapid-fire threat processor during the fight now shifted into a deep analytical review. He meticulously inspected his flanged mace, running a finger over the steel ridges. Oh my god, that's what I would do in real life. To check for microfractures before setting it down to examine his kite shield. The deep gouges left by Jeffrey's broadsword were stark evidence of how close the margins of survival had been. Jordan, Nursing a deeply bruised forearm from a heavy impact against his targe, boiled a tin pot of water over the open flames. They drank deeply, replenishing the massive amount of fluids lost while fighting at peak exertion inside insulated steel suits. There was little talking. The profound exhaustion of a life-or-death struggle demanded quiet. They cleaned their gear, treated their armor scrapes, and let the rhythmic sounds of the wilderness slowly wash away the lingering the duel. Alright, let's continue this. As the night falls, a pack of vicious wolves appeared. RJ alerted Jordan of the danger. The fire crackled, casting long dancing shadows against the towering pines as night fully claimed the upper peninsula. RJ's senses, still finely tuned from the high IQ of the day's battle, caught the danger first. His neurodivergent trait of hypervigilance allowed him to isolate a sound that didn't belong to the wind. The low, rhythmic crunch of dry pine needles under heavy paws, peering into the darkness beyond the firelight. His sharp pattern recognition picked out the faint, terrifying glints of multiple amber eyes reflecting the flames. Jordan, wolves, 11 o'clock, moving fast, RJ hissed. His voice low, direct, and completely devoid of panic. Okay, Jordan, wolves. Wait, Jordan, wolves, 11 o'clock, moving fast. I suppose that would... Jordan instantly froze, his tall, muscular frame tensing as he followed RJ's precise direction. A pack of massive, vicious Northwoods wolves stepped into the edge of the firelight, their ribs showing slightly through thick winter coats. Their lips curled back over the wet, white fangs. Driven by hunger and a scent of fresh blood still lingering on the men's unwashed padding, the alpha wolf let out a guttural snarl. The two men were at a dangerous disadvantage. Their heavy plate armor lay unbuckled on the ground, leaving them only their padded arming doublets and wool trousers. RJ's ADD mind didn't freeze. It accelerated, instantly calculating the defensive options. He couldn't don his full armor in time, but his weapons were within an arm's reach. Snatching his flanged mace with his right hand, RJ grabbed a thick, burning log from the fire with his left, thrusting the glowing, sparkling end outward as the barrier of heat and light. Jordan, moving with explosive speed, scooped up his broadsword and raised his heavy tarred shield, stepping shoulder to shoulder with RJ. The alpha wolf lunged, kicking up dirt as it launched itself straight towards RJ's throat. RJ grabbed his shield just before the alpha wolf lunged at him. Jordan raised his broadsword and what do you want to, like, you raised your broadsword and held your targe directly at the alpha wolf, just in a trying to distract him. Like, this is kind of what the alpha wolf launched its massive body through the air, teeth bared. RJ's high IQ reflex kicked in a single fluid motion. He snatched his heavy kite shield from the dirt, raising it just as the beast slammed into him. The wolf's heavy momentum drove RJ's back a step, its powerful jaws snapping viciously against the reinforced rim of the shield. Jordan moved instantly to execute the distraction, stepping forward with his tall, muscular frame. He thrust his torch directly toward the Alpha's face, aggressively stamping its boot and letting out a deep echoing roar. He intentionally left his right side open, keeping a sharp broadsword raised and ready to strike if the beast turned its attention to him. The aggressive movement of Jordan's charge worked. The Alpha Wolf flinched, breaking its grip on RJ's shield to snarl at this new towering threat. But the rest of the pack was circling, their amber eyes flashing in the firelight as they prepared to rush the unarmored men for the shadows. RJ swung his mace, hitting the Alpha Wolf. Oops, wrong button. Wolf, causing him to back up and... Alright, I'm gonna have you become more aggressive. Jordan charged at... Okay, so at the other two wolves and landed a lethal thrust into one of them. RJ swung his mace, hitting the Alpha Wolf, causing him to back up. Jordan charged the other two wolves and landed a lethal thrust into the other. Ah, my shoulder. The Alpha Wolf reeled back as RJ's flanged mace connected with its shoulder. The heavy blunt force fractured the beast's collarbone, forcing a sharp yelp from its throat as it scrambled backward into the shadows, its dominance shaken. Jordan seized the momentum, capitalizing on his tall frame and explosive power. He charged directly into the other two wolves, flanking the camp. His broadsword flashed in the firelight. With a textbook powerful thrust, he drove the blade deep into the chest of the closest wolf. The lethal blow dropped the animal instantly into the pine needles. The remaining wolf recoiled, started by the sudden death of its packmate and the fierce retaliation of the two humans. The injured Alpha let out a low, cautious whine from the tree line, its aggressive posture giving way to survival instinct. The pack was losing its nerve, but they were still circling the perimeter of the firefight. Jeez, Jordan, how are we going to get out of this mess?
Brute strength.
RJ
And weapons.
let out a war cry. Oops.
As long as we're back to back and they can't surround us, we'll be fine.
And nearly became enraged by the sudden disruption of the wolves' presence. Jordan stood by RJ and let's see. He was standing next to me while I let out a screaming war cry. And fake taunt? Oh, I gotta move my character real quick. Jordan stood by RJ and performed thrusts at the remaining wolves. A primal, booming war cry ripped from RJ's chest. The sudden, chaotic disruption of the wolves had shattered the quiet recovery his mind desperately needed. The overwhelming sensory overload morphed instantly into pure, hyper-focused rage. His muscles tensed, his grip tightened on his mace, and his high IQ brain channeled that raw anger into pure lethal combat precision, entirely focused on erasing the threat in front of him. Jordan stepped up immediately, placing his tall frame shoulder to shoulder with his enraged friend. He held his charge steady, providing a solid wall of defense while executing rapid, disciplined thrusts with his broadsword into the dark spaces between the pines. Each flash of his steel kept the remaining wolves from exploiting RJ's aggressive posture. Terrified by RJ's deafening war cry and the lethal efficiency of Jordan's long blade, the remaining wolves broke completely. The injured alpha turned and vanished into the dense undergrowth, and the rest of the pack scattered silently into the shadows of the upper Michigan wilderness. The threat was gone, leaving only RJ and Jordan have begun to talk about not camping in upper Michigan ever again and want to go back home. The adrenaline slowly drained from the camp, leaving only the smell of copper, burnt wood, and pine. RJ lowered his mace, his chest heaving as his mind finally began to downshift from the intense, hyper-focused rage. Jordan wiped the dark blood from his broadsword with a tuft of dry moss, sheathed the blade, and let out a long, exhausted breath. That's it, Jordan said, his voice flat with absolute fatigue as he looked around the dark upper Michigan woods. I'm done. No more Northwoods. No more camping here, ever. RJ nodded slowly, his high IQ brain already running the numbers on their situation. The rugged terrain, the ambush with Devon and Jeffrey, and now a desperate midnight brawl with the starving wolf pack. The risk-to-reward ratio of this trip had completely plummeted. His ADD, which usually craves stimulation, was completely burnt out from the constant high-stakes sensory overload. Home, with his predictable routines, safety, and lack of bloodthirsty predators sounded like paradise. Agreed, RJ said, his voice steadying. Oh, glasses are fogging up. The variables here are entirely too unstable. We pack up the first light and head south. They spent the remaining hours of the night in a state of hypervigilance, sitting back to back near the fire with their weapons resting across their knees. Every snap of the twig of the darkness made them tense, but no more threats emerged. As the first pale gray light of dawn finally filtered through the thick canopy of the upper peninsula, they didn't waste a second. They threw their gear into their packs, hoisted their heavy suits of plate armor, and began the long, quiet trek back towards civilization and the safety of home. Yay! Wasn't that fun? I just realized this whole time I gotta turn my chair. I had my chair on way too long. I'm gonna turn my AC on. Alright. That adventure has concluded. What'd you think?
It was alright.
Alright.
Now you can turn it into a song.
No. No. I'm taking a break from making music. Alright, do you want to keep your loadout as is? I kind of like your broadsword and charge idea.
Yeah, you can leave it as is.
Alright. Alright, instead of the rugged terrain of Upper Michigan, we're gonna fight in a lower field in Michigan, close to your property area. In an open field in lower Michigan where Jordan lives. Alright. Describe the medieval knights. Oh, I gotta wipe my face. It is just dripping with sweat right now. Okay. Boom, a character. Who do you wanna? What warriors do you wanna fight, or animals? You wanna go back to the Terror Birds idea, Smilodon, or
I grab this. I ain't making noises. I'm talking about the flare.
oh yeah, the flare. I remember the flare.
Hmm.
Now it's just the two of us. Don't you just love intellectual stimulation?
Did we already do ninjas?
No, we have not done ninjas yet. Shinobi. Maybe we've done historically accurate shinobi. We could.
I don't
All right,
remember.
we'll do two ninjas, two historically accurate shinobi.
I don't remember if we did or not.
Shinobi. Oh, it's Shinobi. I think that. Yep, that's how you spell it. Historically accurate shinobi on foot. The two shinobi. Names. Oh, okay. Devon and Jeffrey would not make good ninja names.
No. Honoshi.
Honoshi. How do you spell that? Honoshi. Okay,
I don't know how to spell that.
I got Honoshi. And
I can't be the only one thinking this. You gotta think of one too.
I'm trying. Intellectual stimulation at its finest.
All right, we got Honoshi. How about Tenji?
That sounds cool. Tenji. No, that's. Is it? Is there an H in that? Because it sounds like there's an H in there.
Maybe.
Tenji. Okay. Tenji. Alright. No. Tenji. Okay, I'm gonna go with Tingy. Or should I do GHY? You know what? Tingy.
Whatever sounds right to you.
Alright. Make it sound like a story. And, okay. Here we go. Alright. The June grass swayed gently in the midday Michigan breeze, a deceptively peaceful scene in Jordan's open backyard. But the atmosphere was tense. RJ and Jordan, two formidable warriors clad in gleaming full-plate armor, stood back to back. RJ stood firm. At 38, his heavy, muscular, slender frame was braced with a flanged mace. Oh, wrong button. On one hand and a heavy shield in the other. He had a hyper-awareness of his surroundings. His ADD caused his mind to race, capturing every detail of the grassy field, the rustle in the wind, the exact distance between himself and his tree line, his high IQ processing the blah blah blah, mapping out the angles, calculating potential threats with laser focus. RJ didn't just feel the chaos of the fight, he analyzed it in real time, anticipating traps before they could have been sprung. Next to him, Jordan shifted his weight, tall, muscular frame, a pillar of steady strength. He gripped a broadsword, his polished edge catching the summer sun. His targe held tight against his shoulder. Then, the grass erupted. The shinobi, Honoshi and Tenji, struck with lethal precision. Honoshi dashed forward, clad in darkened, modified lightweight armor designed to move silently, utilizing a Kuasagima, a sickle attached to a long chain. I could have just said that instead of whatever that is. Tenji mirrored the movement, his hands darting into his robes to loose a volley of bow shuriken, iron throwing darts that whistled through the air. Clang! Ping! The shuriken bounced off harmlessly off the polished steel of RJ's helmet and breastplate. RJ's neurodivergent hyperfocus allowed him to track the trajectory of the flying iron perfectly. With a swift, calculated movement, he raised the shield, deflecting the final darts before they could find the vulnerable eye slits of his visor. Meanwhile, Tenji leaped forward, spinning the weighted chain of his weapon to wrap around Jordan's broadsword. Jordan, relying on his raw strength and steady composure, planted its feet. He wrenched his broadsword upward, snapping the spinning chain in two. Before Tenji could retreat, Jordan slammed his targe into the Shinobi's midsection, knocking the wind out of him. Hell yeah! And followed up with a quick, horizontal swipe of his broadsword. Across the grass, Honoshi rushed RJ, realizing that piercing the knight's armor would require a targeted strike in the gaps. Moving with astonishing silent agility, Honoshi lunged with a heavy blade, aiming for the vulnerable underarm plate. But RJ's racing mind anticipated the angle. His IQ and ADD kicked into overdrive, locking onto Honoshi's rhythm and movements. Using his shield to pivot and force the Shinobi's blade to glance off his shoulder plate, RJ swung his flanged mace with a ferocious, calculated arc. The heavy metal flame just slammed on into Honoshi's arm, cracking bone through the lighter mail beneath. Honoshi stumbled, and in a second motion, RJ brought the mace down onto the Shinobi's shoulder, neutralizing the threat. That's brutal, dude. Spotting Tenji recovering from a barge attack, RJ turned, shielding Jordan's flank as his friend delivered a finishing strike to Tenji. The battlefield fell quiet, the winds returning to the grass. In this scenario, RJ and Jordan's armor would likely win them through the engagement, while Shinobi were masters of stealth and assassination. Confronting two well-equipped, fully armored medieval knights in an open field removes their greatest assets: darkness and surprise. Furthermore, RJ's autism, specifically in his enhanced pattern recognition, hyperfocus, the ability to process spatial variables rapidly, proves to be a massive tactical advantage, allowing blah blah blah. Okay. After RJ and Jordan killed the two Shinobi, they went back to Jordan's house and watched some YouTube videos. But unfortunately, multiple Shinobi have been spotted outside through the window. Through the windows while Jordan was using the bathroom. Yeah, I'm going there. I'm going to add a very interesting, really weird thought, man. Just bear with me on this. I see where this goes. The peaceful hum of the television screen faded into the background as RJ's hyperfocus instantly locked down to a subtle anomaly outside the living room window. Through the glass, against the darkening Michigan twilight, he spotted the unmistakable silhouette of a masked figure slipping behind a backyard oak tree, followed by two more moving along the side of the garage. Jordan was still down at the hall in the bathroom, completely unaware that they were being surrounded. RJ's high IQ mind immediately went into overdrive, calculating the threat level, the entry points of the house, and the distance to their gear. His ADD, rather than distracting him, allowed him to track multiple targets simultaneously. Jordan, we got company! Multiple targets outside! That's not how I talk! That is not how I talk. Whatever, I don't care. His voice tense but controlled as he sprang into help. Action. To help RJ and Jordan survive the Sus-on ambush, one shinobi managed to break the front door down. Jordan's grandparents. So do you want me to add them in here or no?
Nah.
Okay, we're gonna go with Jordan's. Let's see. All right, the one shinobi managed to break down the front door. What do you want to do? You're in the bath. You're like in the bathroom. Jordan heard
Well, you already warned me
the.
about it.
All right, one shinobi managed to break the front door down. Jordan heard the sound and immediately grabbed a kitchen knife. Because you're not going to be carrying your sword, dude. You're not carrying it everywhere. Gotta be realistic. I don't even know where my mace is. I didn't. It's fine. And RJ rushed to get his mace and shield. The heavy wood of the front door splintered with a deafening crack as the lead shinobi kicked off its hinges, sending wood shards flying across the entryway. From the bathroom, Jordan heard the crash and instantly bolted for the kitchen, his tall, muscular frame moving with explosive urgency. He ripped a heavy 10-inch chef's knife from the wooden block in the counter. He didn't have time for his broadsword or his targe. This was a raw, unarmored brawl for survival. Meanwhile, RJ's mind hyper-focused on the exact layout of the house. He didn't have the minutes to require a strap into full plate armor, but his mace and shield were resting against the living room wall. Calculating the intruder's speed versus his own distance, RJ lunged across the carpet. His fingers gripped the leather handle of his flanged mace just as a masked figure crossed the broken threshold. The incoming shinobi lunged through the doorway, a straight-bladed ninjato raised to strike. Because RJ lacked his plate armor, a single slash could be fatal. But RJ's ADD and high IQ turned the living room into a grid of tactical data. He noted the low ceiling, the tight entry choke point, and the shinobi's forward momentum. RJ planted his feet, hoisted his heavy shield, and met the intruder right in the doorway. Slam! RJ rammed the edge of his shield directly into the shinobi's chest, using his heavy, muscular, slender build to stop the attacker's momentum cold. The shinobi gasped for air as the air rushed from his lungs, his sword arm thrown completely off balance. Behind the first attacker, two more shinobi appeared on the front porch, ready to swarm the house. Jordan, watch the flank! RJ roared, preparing to swing his mace into the intruder's ribs. Alright. We're going to take some hits on this one, though, because we're fighting three of them. I'm already knocking out the first one, so the other two shinobi, rushed past RJ and the lead shinobi to go after Jordan. Jordan, only armed with the kitchen knife, out of rage, he managed to stab one with lethal precision, but was hit by the other shinobi in the leg. Oh wow, I'm really tying myself into this mess. RJ pushed out the lead shinobi and went back to assist Jordan. Alright, let's see where this goes. With a desperate surge of speed, the two trailing shinobi slipped past the doorway and the doorway melee, dodging RJ's shield to hunt down Jordan in the kitchen. Jordan saw them coming. Driven by pure adrenaline-fueled rage, his tall frame lunged forward. As the first shinobi closed the distance, Jordan sidestepped the attacker's weapon and drove the 10-inch chef's knife toward with lethal precision, burying the blade deep into the shinobi's chest. The man collapsed instantly, but before Jordan could pull the knife free, the second shinobi slashed downward, his blade slicing deeply into Jordan's leg. Jordan roared in pain, dropping to one knee as blood began to pool in the linoleum floor. At the front door, RJ's high IQ and ADD kept him entirely focused amidst the chaos. Sensing his friend was in mortal danger, RJ delivered a massive two-handed shove with the shield, launching the lead shinobi backward off the porch and in the front yard bushes. Turning instantly, RJ raced to the kitchen. His mind mapped the scene in the fraction of a second. Jordan's down, one enemy is dead, and the remaining shinobi raising a sword to deliver a finishing blow to his friend. RJ didn't hesitate. He roared, stepping between the attacker and Jordan, raising his shield just in time to catch the shinobi's downward strike. The metal blade scraped harshly against the shield's edge. RJ held the line, his heavy, muscular slender build braced to protect the wounding brother in arms. The lead shinobi rushed at RJ and hit him and stabbed him. Stabbed him in the side. While Jordan got up and reached for... What kind of shotgun do you have again? Is it 10 or 12?
20.
20 gauge. For his 20 gauge... shotgun. That was already loaded and ready to fire. Jordan killed the shinobi. I keep spelling it wrong. That was already in the... Wait. Already killed the shinobi. Jordan killed the shinobi that was already near RJ. That was near RJ. Not already. That was dumb word. And went to kill the remaining shinobi. Alright. The metallic tang of blood filled the kitchen as the lead shinobi, having recovered from the bushes, charged back through the shattered doorway and blindsided RJ. The narrow blade bit deep into RJ's unarmored side. RJ gasped, the intense pain threatening to break his concentration. However, his high IQ mind, it really wants me to stay alive, dude. His high IQ mind, neurodivergent adrenaline kicked into overdrive. Instead of panicking, he clamped his arm tightly against his flank to bind the wound and brace his shield to keep the attacker from twisting the blade. On the floor, seeing his friend stabbed, Jordan's survival instincts took over completely, ignoring the searing pain in his sliced leg. His tall, muscular frame surged upward. He lunged toward the nearby gun cabinet, tearing it open to grab his 20-gauge shotgun. It was already loaded and ready to fire. Boom! The thunderous sound of the shotgun echoed through the small kitchen. The force of a shot struck the assailant near RJ, ending the immediate threat and sending the figure crashing to the floor. Without hesitation, Jordan chambered another shell. He turned his focus toward the final intruder, the one who caused his leg injury. Seeing the shift in momentum, the attacker froze for a split second. Jordan fired again, neutralizing the remaining threat before any more harm could be done. The house fell silent. The air is thick with the sharp scent of gunpowder. RJ slumped against the kitchen counter, hand firmly against his side, while Jordan leaned heavily on the table for support. They were both injured, but through quick thinking and decisive action, they had managed. RJ was mortally wounded. The stab wound punctured his intestines and was bleeding internally. RJ collapsed on the floor, and Jordan was in panic mode. No, what would you do if I was dying on the floor?
I can't do anything about it.
Jordan was in horror. Oops, wrong one. Horror. Because he cannot do anything to help his friend. The air in the kitchen grew heavy and cold as the adrenaline began to fade. RJ's legs buckled, his heavy muscular frame sliding down the blood-slick cabinets until he collapsed on the linoleum floor. His high IQ mind, which had spent the entire night fight calculating variables and tracking movements, began to slow down. He looked at his hand. It was soaked in dark, oxygen-depleted blood. The blade had gone deep, puncturing his intestines and triggering severe internal bleeding. Jordan dropped his shotgun, the clatter echoing sharply. Gracie. Through the quiet house. Dragging his injured leg, he collapsed onto the floor beside his friend. His hands shook violently as he pressed them against RJ's side, trying desperately to stem the flow, but he couldn't feel the warmth. He could feel the warmth escaping. Stay with me, RJ. Come on, man, look at me. Jordan shouted, his voice cracking with a mixture of terror and helplessness. He reached for his phone, his bloody fingers fumbling to dial 911. But looking at the depth of the wound in RJ's rapidly paling skin, a suffocating horror washed over him. They were out in rural Lower Michigan, miles from the nearest hospital, and time was running out. RJ's eyes flickered, his ADD-driven thoughts finally quieting down to a single sharp focus. He looked at Jordan, sensing his friend's absolute despair. RJ died in Jordan's arms. Jordan got up and limped over to get his phone. And tried to dial 911. Oops, wrong button. But alright, tried to call help. Let's make this story sad. The kitchen grew entirely still as RJ's chest fell one final time. The rapid, brilliant mind that had analyzed every angle of the battle went quiet. He slipped away in his friend's arms. Jordan sat in the silence for a long, agonizing moment, staring at the empty space where his best friend had just been. The horror of the night pressed down on him, but the reality of his own bleeding leg forced him to move. Grimacing in pain, Jordan pulled himself up using the edge of the kitchen counter. His tall, muscular frame trembled as he dragged his useless, injured leg across the linoleum. What the hell is linoleum? Is that like a shiny floor or something?
I think he's trying to say linoleum.
It is saying linoleum. I'm just saying it wrong. What is linoleum?
It's basically like you would put in your bathroom for showers and stuff. It's like waterproof stuff.
Tile, then?
Kinda.
Leaving a dark injured across the linoleum, leaving a dark trail behind him. He reached the kitchen table where his phone lay, his hand shaking so violently he almost dropped it. With bloody fingers, he unlocked the screen and dialed 911. 911, what is your emergency? The dispatcher's voice echoed into the quiet room. I need an ambulance, Jordan gasped, his voice hollow and choked with grief. My friend, he's gone. We were attacked. Lower Michigan, please, just hurry. He slumped against the wall, holding the phone to his ear as the dispatcher desperately asked for his exact address. The reality of the situation finally setting him to the quiet. After an ambulance arrived, they were dumbfounded by the dead shinobi around the house. Wait, and police. Because when we say we were attacked, you're going to know that they're going to send police services too, right?
Mm-hmm.
After an ambulance and police arrived, they were dumbfounded by the dead shinobi around the house.
Because they want to make sure you're safe.
The police found Jordan lying, sitting near RJ's corpse. Yep, I wanted to die in this story. First death. I wanted to make it sad. Let's see what happens. Flashing red and blue lights illuminated in the rural Michigan night as 3 police cruisers and an ambulance tore down the gravel driveway. Tires throwing up so much dust. The first 2 officers crossed the threshold with weapons drawn, but they already found them left. But what they found left them completely dumbfounded. Sprawled across the property in the shattered entryway were bodies of men clad in historically accurate shinobi gear, surrounded by spent shotgun shells and a bloody kitchen knife. It looked like a medieval battlefield had just erupted inside a modern home. Following the trail of blood into the kitchen, the officers lowered their firearms in shock. Jordan sat motionless on the floor, his tall frame slumped heavily against the cabinets, his hands stained with dark. He was staring blankly ahead, refusing to leave RJ's side. Despite the severe slash wound on his own leg, Jordan had moved an inch from his friend's body since the pulse had faded. Drop your weapon! Wait, secure the room! The lead sergeant barked, his voice trembling slightly as he took the surreal scene. Paramedics rushed past the bewildered officers, immediately dropping their trauma kits next to Jordan. One medic gently placed a hand on Jordan's shoulder, trying to pull his attention away from RJ to treat his leg, while the police began tape fencing the kitchen, treating the home as the most bizarre and brutal crime scene Lower Michigan has ever seen. The police were asking Jordan what happened here and why, and while Jordan is being treated by the paramedics. The flashing emergency lights cast frantic shadows across the kitchen walls as the paramedics worked quickly, wrapping a heavy pressure bandage around Jordan's deeply sliced leg. Jordan winced at the alcohol prep pad into the wound, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the hollow ache in his chest. The police sergeant stood over him, holding a notepad with a trembling hand, his eyes darting between the shotgun and the floor, the dead attackers, and RJ's covered body. "Son, I need you to focus and talk to me," the sergeant said, his voice a mix of authority and pure bewilderment. "We've got 4 dead men in historical Asian combat gear, swords, and a shattered door, and a firearm discharged indoors. What the hell happened here tonight?" Jordan let out a ragged breath, staring at his blood-stained hands. "They're shinobi," he muttered, his voice barely a whisper. "What?" the sergeant asked, leaning closer. "They attacked us out in the field earlier today," Jordan said, looking up with hollow eyes. "RJ and I, we had our plate armor on then. We killed 2 of them. We thought it was over. We came inside to the rest. But then the rest of them broke through the front door." The sergeant swapped a look of utter disbelief with his deputy, who was busy bagging a dropped ninjato blade as evidence. "Plate armor? Like knights? Son, you are telling me that you were targeted by medieval assassins in rural Michigan?" "They stabbed RJ," Jordan choked out, ignoring the officer's skepticism. He pointed a shaking finger toward the shotgun. "He didn't have his armor on at the time. He used his shield to protect me even after I was hit. I grabbed the 20 gauge to stop the rest. RJ's a genius." Okay, that's stupid. "He kept his head, calculated their moves, and saved my life. He died in my arms." Okay, it's really... Okay, the paramedic finished taping the bandage, patting Jordan's shoulder. "Sergeant, we need to transport him to the hospital now. He's lost a lot of blood and he's in shock." The sergeant nodded slowly, writing down the final notes. He looked down at Jordan, his skepticism softening into a grim pity. "We'll get you a full statement at the hospital, Jordan. I'm sorry about your friend. We're going to figure out who these people were." As the paramedics loaded Jordan onto the stretcher and wheeled him out past the shattered front door, he looked back one last time at his home, knowing his life would never be the same without his best friend. And that concludes the story. I hope you guys enjoyed this live. What?
Just in time, too.
I know. I was looking at the time when I was reading it out, so I had to come up with a quick conclusion. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream, and thank you guys for watching. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.